Somewhere in the North Pacific, in water 2 miles deep, there is a steel box the size of a small house. Nobody knows exactly where it is. Nobody is coming to get it. Inside, there might be sneakers, or frozen seafood, or motorcycle parts, or nothing at all but seawater and rust. It fell off a ship years ago, and it is not alone. Right now, scattered across every ocean on Earth, there are tens of thousands of these containers, sunk, drifting, or floating just beneath the surface, like steel icebergs. Some will never be found. Some are quietly destroying ecosystems on the seafloor. And a few of them have triggered international investigations, multi-million-dollar insurance battles, and one of the strangest scientific experiments in modern oceanography. So what actually happens when a shipping container falls off a ship? Where does it go? And why does this keep happening again and again in nearly total silence?
Here's the unsettling part. This isn't rare. According to the World Shipping Council, which tracks data from companies representing the vast majority of global container capacity, an average of well over 1,000 containers are lost at sea every single year. In bad years, years with major storms or catastrophic accidents, that number has spiked past 4,000. Other agencies, including NOAA, suspect the real figure could be even higher, since many losses in remote waters simply go unreported. To put that in perspective, roughly 250 million containers move across the oceans annually. So statistically, losing a few hundred or a couple thousand sounds like nothing, less than 1/10,000%. But almost nothing still adds up to a graveyard. Multiply 1,000+ containers a year across decades of global trade, and you get an invisible debris field scattered across the planet's oceans, one that barely anyone outside the shipping industry knows exists. Picture a modern container ship. It can carry over 20,000 containers, stacked up to 9 or 10 high, lashed together with steel rods and twist locks, towering above the deck like a floating city block. Now picture that city block in a storm. Waves don't just rock a ship side to side. In the wrong conditions, a ship can fall into something called parametric rolling, a violent, escalating sway that can snap steel lashings like they're made of string. Add hurricane-force wind, swells over 10 meters tall, and a few tons of cargo stacked slightly off balance, and entire columns of containers can simply topple into the sea. Sometimes a dozen at once, sometimes hundreds. That's roughly what happened in January 1992, when a container ship crossing the North Pacific was slammed by a brutal storm near the international date line. 12 containers broke loose. One of them ripped open as it fell, releasing nearly 29,000 plastic bath toys, yellow ducks, blue turtles, red beavers, green frogs, into the open ocean. It sounds whimsical. It wasn't meant to be science. But an oceanographer named Curtis Ebbesmeyer realized those unsinkable little toys were about to become the largest accidental ocean current experiment ever conducted. For the next 15 years, beachcombers from Hawaii to Scotland to the Arctic kept finding them, bleached white, thousands of miles from where they fell, quietly mapping currents that scientists had never been able to track so precisely before. It's a strange, almost funny story, but it's also a preview of something.
Once a container hits the water, its fate splits in 3 directions. Most sink. A standard container weighs several tons even empty, and once seawater forces its way in through tiny gaps, it goes down. Sometimes fast, sometimes over hours, drifting downward through total darkness until it lands on the seafloor, often kilometers below the surface, in places no human has ever seen. In 2004, containers lost from a ship called the Med Taipei were later discovered inside the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary, sitting directly on top of fragile deep-sea habitat, crushing it flat. Marine biologists who later surveyed the wreckage found the containers had become artificial reefs of a sort,
but one smothering the exact ecosystems they landed on, and in some cases, slowly leaking whatever cargo they carried into protected waters. The second fate is more unsettling. Some containers don't sink right away. Depending on what's inside, packing materials, sealed air pockets, certain types of cargo, a container can float at the surface for days or weeks, or hover just beneath it, nearly invisible, riding the swells like a half-submerged iceberg made of steel. These are sometimes called ghost containers, and they are a genuine hazard to navigation. A fishing boat or a yacht doesn't stand much of a chance colliding with a half-submerged steel box at speed. There are documented cases of sailors abandoning blue water voyages and of small vessels sinking after impacts with containers nobody saw until it was too late. The third fate is the strangest. Some simply keep drifting for years, carried by ocean currents and gyres across entire oceans, exactly like those rubber ducks, eventually washing up on a beach somewhere or breaking apart and scattering their contents along thousands of miles of coastline.
A few incidents made headlines. In 2013, the MOL Comfort split in half over the Indian Ocean, taking 4,000 containers down in a single event. In 2011, the MV Rena ran aground off New Zealand, spilling 900 containers and tons of fuel oil. In 2020, the one Apis lost nearly 1,800 containers in one Pacific storm. Salvage crews try, but lifting a single box from kilometers down often costs more than what's inside. So, most just stay there, forever.
And here's the strange part. There's no map, no registry, just ordinary cargo, swallowed by the ocean, never seen again.